Hello, I'm Scott with Shoms Photography, and today we're going to talk about the most common comment I get in the groups in Facebook is print orientation and rendering 3D models. So today we're going to use this model, which is over at CG Trader, for $3.30. I make a lot of critter files, and this guy has sculpted probably the best critter file out there. And that's the reason why I'm using it. I'm not sponsored by him. I'm not getting anything from this guy. So, but again, I believe that his model is one of the best ones out there, and this is the reason why I'm going to use it for an example today. Let's switch over into Mesh Mixer. So here is the model in Mesh Mixer. So this file, people would say, is rendered. Well, it's really not rendered. It's actually opened up in Mesh Mixer. This is the way it looks. I will take snapshots of this screen and examine throughout the day without having to be in front of my computer with this program open, looking at this model, figuring out what the best orientation is to print this model. Or if I want to cut and key it, because this model here comes as two pieces. You have a base and you have the critter. Now, my critter files that I make usually have a split, the top of his head and the bottom of his body. The reason for that is because of the teeth. But we don't have that option on this one. And if I want to cut it and key it, I would have to do that myself. And I would probably cut it right through the mouth at this angle and come up through at whatever angle that is, through his mouth, and chop off the top of his head and then print them in two pieces. That would be the way I would do it. But most people don't want to take the time to cut and key someone else's model. They just want to print it. So, when I look at it in Mesh Mixer, and like I said, I will post pictures of my next prints, of what I'm going to be printing next on my Facebook. Sure, I don't give credit to the artist that made it, of these pictures and stuff like that. But again, if someone asked in the comments, I would tell them. But again, most of the time, I'm putting these pictures up so I can determine how I want to print it, or if I want to cut and key it. Because sometimes I do not like the way some models come that are cut and keyed. I don't like the way they cut and keyed it. And I think maybe it should have been cut and keyed at a different spot. And I will edit the file and cut and key it at the spot I want it to be cut at and keyed at. So when I print it, that's the way I'm going to print it. It's not that I'm stealing some guy's file, taking credit for someone else's sculpt. It's just, that's the way my processes work. Instead of having this sitting in front of a computer all day long, looking at this picture, trying to figure out how I want to cut and key it or how I want to print it, I will put pictures up on my Facebook page and look at it every so many hours or whatever, and sit there and ponder on how I want to cut and key it throughout the day before I come home and actually cut and key it. There you go. So, looking at this picture, we have a lot of jagged hair. We have a lot of sharp little teeth. Boy, that's going to take a bunch of support some way or another. So let's open it up in Choo Box. All right. So the most standard, common way of printing something is at a 45 to 35 degree angle, somewhere in between there. Again, that is the standard. That doesn't mean that you should print that way all the time. That's just a standard. So, over in Choo Box, we have one laying down. We have one at your 45 degree angle. We have one standing straight up, and we have one upside down. When I do test prints, I test print at the way it's going to print the fastest, because I don't want to sit there and wait. So like here, this one here is at 45, and this one is flat. This one, say, takes 8 hours. To print it this way only takes 2 hours. So which way, if it's a throwaway model anyway, which one should you go with? Should you sit there and wait for 8 hours to find out if it needs to be edited or changed? Or would you rather wait 2 hours and figure out which one is how to, if it needs to be edited, changed, before throwing it in the trash can and printing another one? Sometimes it takes a couple of different versions to get the model proper. So we're talking where it's going to be balanced, if it's going to be top heavy, bottom heavy, if it's going to be side heavy. You want it to balance. So especially if you're making something that's going to stand up by itself. So if the head is too heavy one way, or if the arm's sticking out too far one way, it might make it to where it topples over that direction. So you go back into ZBrush and you adjust it. So by doing test prints and test printing at the fastest way you can print it, so you can get back into edit as fast as you can get it, then put it back out onto the printer and test print it fast to see if it's ready before you send it off to somebody, and somebody else turn it around going, well, it doesn't stand up by itself. Now I have to glue it to some kind of base, or I'm going to have to put magnets in its feet, or I'm going to have to do this. And then they're going to contact you back and say, well, this don't work this way, this don't work this way. I'm going to get it out to where that file is as perfect as I can get it, without them coming back and complaining that the file doesn't perform the way they want it. All right, so let's get back to, we have this lay down mode, we have a 45 degree, we have a stand up straight, and we have this upside down. Which one's going to be the best way to print this with less cleanup? That's the way I look at it. The less cleanup I have to do. Is it going to be the 45? Is it going to be the lay down? Is it going to be the stand up? Is it going to be the upside down? Well, let's open Choo Box again into another window. And let me maximize. Whoops. Messed that up, huh, didn't I? Okay. Let's maximize that. Okay, here we go. Let's take these off. We have our lay down version. Yep, there's going to be a lot of supports on the back. You're going to have to clean up every one of those pieces of hair in the back there. Every one of those points. We're going to have to clean up underneath these hands, which is not bad on this one. And we're going to have to do a little cleanup here, but not so much cleanup in the mouth. There's a few supports in there, but not bad. But let's take a look at the 45 degree one. Wow, now I have to do all the same cleanup as the lay down one, plus a lot more cleanup in the mouth. So looking at this 45 compared to the lay down one, I'd rather do the lay down one. It's going to take less time and it's going to take less cleanup. Well, what about layer lines? Well, no matter what, you're going to get some kind of form of layer line, no matter what angle you print at. Sure, you're going to limit them by printing at a certain angle, but you're still going to get them. It's just, that's the nature of resin printers and FDM printers. And are you printing at a 4K, you printing at a 6K, you printing at an 8K, you printing on an RGB screen, or are you printing on a mono screen? It all is going to be based on your printer. All right, so let's take a look at option 3. Straight up and down. Still got a lot of cleanup in the mouth. A lot of cleanup on the back. That's not a viable option for me. Let's go over to option 4. Well, it looks like option 4 wins. Sure, I'm going to have to do a little cleanup in the mouth, but a little sandpaper or a little snipping, we're good to go. Not a lot of cleanup on the back. A little cleanup on the arms, but the thing is, those are smooth areas. They're going to sand out pretty easy. I'm not going to worry about that. So let's open up all our options again. We have the lay down version, we have the 45, we have the upright, and we have the upside down. Well, my first option would be upside down. My second option would be the lay down. My third option would be the upright. And then my last option would be the 45. But the upright and the 45 both are pretty much going to be the same amount of cleanup compared to the upside down and the lay down flat. So again, if you're only looking at it at the front, well then maybe this lay down version is going to be the best way for you, because guess what? You're not going to have to do a lot of cleanup in that mouth. But if you're going to look at all different angles, then maybe this upside down option would be for you. Again, if you're looking at all the angles, I sure in the heck wouldn't do the 45. It's just too many. All these little, you can see them all in here. There's little supports everywhere. This one here, you're going to get all those little support, not as many supports as this one here, but you're still going to have some cleanup. Yeah, there's some supports here on the back. Again, the standard, again, is 45 degree, but that doesn't mean that you should print every one of your models at a 45 degree. It's up to you what you want to print and what works best for you. Again, don't let someone determine how you are going to do something, because you're never going to learn if you don't try different ways. Because if I would have just stuck with a 45 degree on this model, I might not have ever thought about putting it upside down and printing it this way, or laying it on its back and printing it that way. Again, orientation is up to you, not by another person telling you that that's what you need to print. Again, my name is Scott with Shoms Photography, and thank you for watching.